Hey guys, it's Mathel here once again with a small update on the end game of the melee LE hit accuracy stacking jug, and then also a bit of just Ice Spite or Forbidden Shako divine rolling to finish off the vid. But just to start out with, I did end up doing this character up to 92, 93, can't remember what exactly. It mapped alright, like it was pretty solid, pretty tanky. Granted, you can see it's a low amount of life, but I talked a lot about that in the last video. It's just very high amount of EHP, though low amount of life, and especially with low life and petrified blood, it does make some complications. The reserve is not shown, so you can't see that I'm reserving half of my life and most of my mana, but rest assured, it is low life, and I am using replica last resorts to take advantage of that fact. The character in the end just didn't seem to get enough DPS for what it was supposed to do though, while being kind of tanky but having a glaring flaw in its defense, and that is degens. So as a low life sort of melee-ish kind of character, I've got okay regen, like it's like 5% life regen or some shit like that, so it's not nothing and it shouldn't feel that bad conventionally, but when you're low life, there's no additional protection against degens, so basically you're just a 2k life character with like 200 life regen a second or some shit, and just getting completely shafted by degens, which exist in almost every facet of the Uber endgame at this point. So it was pretty damn tough to take on any Ubers, but normal endgame was fine. Like, mapping was good, and high tier mapping, and then bossing, and as you can tell, like all of these four-ways and shit was pretty good, and just regular bosses like Maven, regular Shapers and Uber Elders, all that, not too bad. This is my first and only real Uber attempt, I think, and it was Uber Maven, and it was okay enough damage-wise. I thought, yep, maybe we can do it, but placing the balls is really, really hard when you almost die to degen instantly, taking any of that ball damage. The rest of the damage throughout the fight is not too bad, but I'm pathetically melee when it comes to needing to do my damage, and then having to place those balls just catches up to you, and then ultimately the entire arena's fucked, and it isn't really feasible to be placing these balls in the center when you don't have any regen and you aren't ranged, because you just won't be able to keep stacking them there reliably. So I keep trying to put them off to the side, and then it just keeps getting worse and worse, and ultimately it just becomes the mess that you'll see in a second, which is unplayable. And thinking about every single other Uber, there's a degen to every single other Uber that I would not be able to get through, and as such I didn't bother really trying any more of the Ubers. So yeah, like the character was okay, and as a concept, a bit of a giant meme, but I kind of got somewhere in the end. Don't think it's really worth copying in any way, shape or form, but it opened up a pretty glaring weakness of degens for low life characters, and in general, if you've got some other character with really bad regen or particularly bad elemental damage taken, the degen zones are going to feel extremely bad in the Uber fights, so you either have to completely over DPS or over gear the fights with lots of DPS so that it doesn't become an issue, or you have to build so thick that things like degens don't matter, and then you can have lower DPS. But this was not it, this was not the case, and this character ended up failing its only real Uber attempt on Maven, but otherwise, I mean, it was like 3 to 5 million DPS and it could take on normal endgame just fine, but the new Uber stuff certainly wasn't on the cards for this one. And I guess that's okay. I don't really mind if we don't do Ubers on everything, but it's kind of the goal largely these days, so meant I moved on from the character fairly quick. And then jumped into doing some Forbidden Shako divining. I find this pretty fun if you've got the loose currency. Let me start out by saying I do not recommend trying this at home if you care about your currency and if you are specifically going to try and fish for a certain modifier. So what these are is basically just hats that can potentially become a decent 6 link, with up to level 35 on one of the gems, and then up to level 10 on one of the other gems. Some gems scale really, really well with gem levels, and so if you can get up to level 35 on a certain gem, then it becomes extremely worth even just using that one extra gem. You don't have to have a good matching gem. So things like Ice Bite, that is one of the things people are really going for. Impending Doom is actually another one that's pretty damn good. It scales really well off of gem levels, and you can make some builds around it. Ideally, another link to go with it, but even just by itself. So Impending Doom, Decay, Added Lightning, Added Cold, Ice Bite, plenty of stuff can be pretty good when divining these things, and you just kind of have to pretty much check every single thing and wonder if it's going to be something you can utilize. One I did end up landing on was Ice Bite and Item Rarity. So Item Rarity, basically a dead link, but whatever, bit of extra rarity. Otherwise, just a high level Ice Bite, and that's what a lot of people are playing with Flicker Strikes and many other things for just attack based things, because it gives you, if you've got 10 Frenzy Charges, a level 35 Ice Bite will go 700 to 1000 cold damage, I think, something like that, which is a pretty damn potent way of just like taking care of all of your damage scaling. So I kept that one, decided to play around with it, and you will see a Frenzy wander from me sometime soon. Currently building that thing. Otherwise, yeah, still just loved spamming this thing and seeing if it could give me any build direction or anything particularly fun for profit and flipping. It took probably like, I don't know how many divines I did in the end, 600, something like that maybe. Divines are about 18 to 1 exalt, and you know, I'd spend 10x of divines, maybe sell for something like that back if I got a good one, and sometimes take a loss, but overall it was a decent profit. But don't at all expect it. I've had people tell me they pumped 2,000 divines without seeing a single Ice Bite, and I saw 2 or 3 of them in the amount of divines I used this time around. So you can get lucky, or you can get really unlucky and then nothing's going to happen, and that's why I'm saying don't try this at home. Do it if you've got an excess of currency, or you felt like gambling or quitting the game or some shit, or you really need a particularly silly direction for a build, and there's some cool stuff that you can do out there, but the stuff that most people care about, like Ice Bite, are going to be very expensive. There will be some other niche ones that not so many people maybe know about that you can maybe look for and potentially build around. Like I said, an Impending Doom or a Decay potentially. Did hit this Ice Bite Fortify one as well that sold for a decent bit, because the difference between level 31 and 35 Ice Bite isn't all that much. So if it does have a good secondary link, then it becomes pretty damn useful indeed. But yeah, this isn't an item I really wanted to make too much use of too many times, or even ever in general, just because it's hard to replicate. And it can roll 2 of the same gem. That doesn't mean anything. It will only apply one of the gems. You can't have the same link twice, but it's funny that it can roll 2 of the same gem. So otherwise, yeah, I think I rolled one more decent one on this attempt at crafting Shakos, and that was Added Lightning in Close Combat, and I don't remember if I've sold or if I've got it up for sale, but it's another decent combo. So like I said, just a bit of fun. If you've got excess divines or excess currency, you can go in on these. They're pretty expensive, but they can high roll. They can also low roll. User and buyer beware. That's about it from me, so I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.